It's very interesting to me to sit with this panel of marvelous experts who bring perspectives from not only their experience around the world, but also their training and their knowledge. I'm going to approach this subject a little bit from the perspective of a practitioner. Having been a mayor of Oklahoma's second largest city for 10 years, and now serving at the state capitol, I see the need for us to focus very specifically on all of those things that make us competitive, not just within our state, among ourselves, and within our region of the United States, but throughout the world. So I want to share with you some facts and figures that give you a little bit of a profile of what Oklahoma looks like right now. I've been ably assisted in developing this information from the Secretary of Commerce, Natalie Shirley, and her very dedicated staff, because Oklahoma is doing a tremendous amount in building its profile as a state in which one can not only bring goods and services, but a state in which we can export goods and services. But a little bit of context. Cities and towns, certainly in this region of the state and throughout the nation, really are facing unprecedented changes. Ambassador Jones mentioned many of that, but I tell you that as cities grow, as the demands placed upon the ability to provide services grow, and as the challenges of how do we educate our children, how do we live together with changing demographics, how do we address the enormous impact that globalization is having on the way in which we do business, and certainly technology. It's been mentioned, you know it, and I like to provide a little context. When I was mayor of Tulsa, I was first given a cell phone in about I think the first one I ever had was in 1994. It was about the size of a lunchbox. So I now have a BlackBerry in which I can do email, store files. It does a variety of things. I don't even have a clue what it does. It's my telephone. It's my lifeline to the world. But it also makes me accessible 24 hours a day. And with that accessibility comes the greater opportunity for us to be doing business all across the world. The ambassador made a very important comment about education, and recently I was asked by Governor Henry to represent him at an educational summit. I listened to the president of UPS list the qualifications that his corporation is seeking for their employees of the future. He said, obviously they must be proficient in technology, they need to be conversant in more than one language, they must have a range of skill sets that give them great flexibility in the workplace, and they must be globally competent, meaning they must have an understanding of other cultures and customs beyond their own. Again, the focus being on the fact that we're a great state and we're in our centennial year and we're proud, but we're also a member of the world community, and we need to not only expand upon our knowledge, but embrace it. We have in the state of Oklahoma, let me back up just 1 minute. I want to also give a few more statistics about the international census statistics, because the ambassador again mentioned NAFTA being very important, but also the impact of China and India. The international census statistics reports that India has 120 million teenagers between the ages of 14 and 19. I won't comment about having teenagers, but 120 million teenagers in those ages. China has 124 million, roughly the same age range. In the United States, there are 47 million teenagers. So if you do the math and project the potential numbers of high school and college graduates among these three nations, especially if you're looking at fields of science, engineering, technology, mathematics, research, you quickly see that we have the potential to be outpaced. We don't look at who we educate, how we educate, and expand our horizons to, again, embrace the world. In the state of Oklahoma, we have undertaken, and I again credit the marvelous work of our Oklahoma State Department of Commerce, but Oklahoma's general policy with respect to free trade is a stance of endorsing free trade agreements and support for other federal initiatives that favor the lowering of tariffs technical, and other barriers to trade with trading partners around the world. Department of Commerce has trade offices in Canada, Mexico, those are our leading foreign markets: Canada, Mexico, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, the United Kingdom, Germany, and China. In 2006, Oklahoma ranked 35th among the 50 states by its export volume, which amounted to $4.4 billion, which was about a 1.5% increase over 2005. And if you consider a little bit of context, the loss of General Motors during this period of time, that still represents a very significant increase. Oklahoma's leading export sectors include machinery, transportation equipment, computers, electronic products, fabricated metal products, plastic and rubber products, electrical equipment, appliances, parts, chemical manufacturers, and processed food products. We operate 4 international trade offices in China, Mexico, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. And Commerce has now focused all of that, and the state of Oklahoma has what they call a Global Business Services division within the Department of Commerce that specifically is geared to address not only what your business needs are if you are a company from someplace in the world seeking to do business in Oklahoma, but to promote, expand, market, and encourage trade throughout the world of Oklahoma products and on behalf of Oklahoma companies. So there's a tremendous amount of focus, energy, and activity that is geared by the state in partnership with the private sector, with the university sector, and with our partners in cities and towns across the state. And one final word before I close. Part of my role as a Secretary of State is to be the official first point of contact for the state of Oklahoma for matters relating to any kind of international business. Obviously, if it is a direct business function, Commerce takes the lead on that. If it's a matter pertaining to agriculture, the State Department of Agriculture. If it's higher ed, we funnel those through. But Oklahoma is increasingly, as a result of nearly 24 sister city programs in our cities and towns, we have, and all of the international programs at our universities throughout the state, we have, in effect, ambassadors of goodwill who know our state, who seek to return to our state, and who convey an image and information about our state. Building relationships, building partnerships is essential to Oklahoma's future. And I leave you with this thought as you're thinking about international business and global trade. Recently, a Chinese company seeking to build a formerly British-made car, an NG, formed a partnership with the state of Oklahoma, the Chickasaw Nation, the cities of Ardmore, Norman, and Oklahoma City to agree to bring a plant to the city of Ardmore. It was a remarkable transaction. There are still some issues with whether or not it really ever happens, but it represents how business is being done today. It requires cross-jurisdictional boundaries being absolutely eliminated, barriers being eliminated, an incredibly qualified workforce, high-quality training, and people who understand how to do business with one another, not only within the state, but among the world. Thank you.